Hey, beautiful people, good morning. Let me get into this video. I won't be with you that long today, but I'm going to start your day off listening to Donald Trump.
And this had to be done. They were very close to a nuclear weapon. They would have had one if we didn't do our B-2 hit, Midnight Hammer. They would have had it 8 months ago. They would have had a nuclear weapon, and they're crazy, and they would have used it. So we did the world a favor. And they said, well, how are you doing on a scale of 0 to 10? How are you doing with the attack? And I said, about a 15, I would say, with 10 being the best. But it's something that had to be done, and we're doing it well. And I want to thank everybody involved. I'll be going right after this. I'll be leaving for Dover, very sad situation, to greet the families of the heroes coming home from Iran, coming home in a different manner than they thought they'd be coming home. But they're great heroes in our country, and we're going to keep it that way. There's always, when it comes to war, there's always that. But we're going to keep it to a minimum, I think, Pete, and going to be something, a service that we're really providing, not for the Middle East, but for the world. These were sick people, very sick people. This morning, I'm honored to welcome distinguished heads of state from across the Western Hemisphere for the first Shield of the Americas Summit. And it's something very, very special. Marco's been working on it very hard, so have a lot of other people, because it's a very important place for us. It's nice to be home. It's very, very important. You know, we go all over the world, 9,000 miles away, 12,000 miles away. I said, how long is this flight? Sir, this flight is 19 hours. I said, oh, that's great. I said, now I have flights that last for 2 hours. I like that better. Much better. But on this historic day, we come together to announce a brand new military coalition to eradicate the criminal cartels plaguing our region. And you have a lot of it. One of the things when we were talking backstage, you were telling me the crime, the cartels, and we're knocking the hell out of them where we can. We're going to go heavier. You saw what we were doing with the boats coming in. The boats, there's not a lot of people coming in by boats anymore. We knocked down drugs coming in by sea. Drugs coming in through water is down 96%. We're trying to find out who the other 4% are, because I think they're the bravest people in the world. Either that or they don't watch television, right? They're either very brave or they're not watching. But we're calling this military partnership the America's Counter Cartel Coalition. And that's what you need. You have cartels. They seem to grow in this region unbelievably rapidly. It has to do with drugs largely. Earlier this week here in Miami, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who's right here. Pete, you're fantastic, doing a great job. We're proud of you. And representatives of 17 different nations formally entered this new alliance. The heart of our agreement is a commitment to using lethal military force to destroy the sinister cartels and terrorist networks once and for all. We'll get rid of them. We need your help. You have to just tell us where they are. We have amazing weaponry, as you probably noticed over the last short period of time. But I want to thank members of the coalition, most of whom are friends of mine. Few of them I just met, but most of whom are friends, many of whom I endorsed. And they took that endorsement and they went on to win big. I haven't had a bad endorsement yet, right? Yeah. He says, yes. He was happy. He was a couple of points down and went up like a rocket ship, right, in Argentina. But the president of Argentina is here, Javier Milei. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. President of El Salvador, another friend, Nayib Bukele. You know, he is a man who we've gotten very close to. I saw him as a young man my first time. You were young and handsome. Now you're older and handsome. You're older and handsome. But he runs a good operation. That's all I care about, right? When I first saw him, I said, he's too young. And then I saw the job he did. I said, well, I guess he's not too young, because I was young and did well. But you've been a great president, and we appreciate the relationship very much. President of Paraguay, Santiago Peña, thank you very much. Thank you very much. President of Ecuador, Danielle Noboa. Danielle, thank you. Thank you, Danielle. President of Panama, I love that canal. Jose, I think he made the greatest deal in history. He bought it for $1. One of our brilliant presidents. I can't sleep over that deal. They gave it to him for $1. Jose Raul Molino was, you know, you made one of the greatest real estate deals in history. Jimmy Carter, one of our great presidents. President of Honduras, Tito Esfora. Thank you, Tito. Thank you very much. Great to see you the other day. President of Guyana, Irfan Ali. Thank you. President of Bolivia, Rodrigo Paz. Thank you very much. Great people. Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And I have to be very careful with this because, you know, your first name is very similar to a first name that we have, but fortunately it's pronounced different. It's Kamala. It's supposed to Kamala. I like Kamala better in many ways. And I just want to say thank you very much, but I had to be careful with that first name. I didn't want to get it mixed up because it would ruin your reputation completely. Right? I said, is this the same pronunciation? No, sir, it's a little different. It's Cam, right? Cam, as opposed to Cam. But we don't like Cam. President of Costa Rica, Rodrigo Chavez, as well as the President-elect of Costa Rica, Laura Fernandez Delgado. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the President of the Dominican Republic, Luis Abinader. And so many of my friends are in the Dominican, including the Sugar King, right? He is indeed the Sugar King. He got a lot of sugar. I don't know if that's good or bad, but he's got a lot of it, right? But we're grateful to be joined as well by the President-elect of Chile, Jose Cast. Congratulations. It's an endorsement. Gave you a little endorsement. I love when I give endorsements and people win. But you know what? They don't lose. You know, I don't know. I guess it would be illegal. Could you imagine if I could say they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on a campaign? They're losing. And they beg me for an endorsement. I give them an endorsement. They win by 30 points. And I get nothing. If I could sell that, is there a way? Do we have any of our legal people here? Marco's close enough. Is there a way I could get paid for that, Marco? I'd make a lot. They spend millions of dollars. And I give it for nothing. I could, even if I put it into the Treasury of the United States, it would be pretty good, right, Marco? But Marco's saying this is not a good idea. No, but it's an honor to do it. It's an honor to have that power where I can endorse somebody. And even in foreign countries, here it was, we had one in this week, 124-0 with endorsements. And so that's good. But now I'm doing foreign countries all of a sudden. Say, sir, would you endorse me? And it's an honor. If I like you, I only do it if I think you're good. You know, if I think you're not good, I've turned down many more than I've accepted, believe me. I want to thank Secretary of State Marco Rubio for his leadership in organizing this really important summit. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic Secretary of State. And thus far, look, we've had the most incredible year of any president, I think, by, you know, I ended 8 wars. We're not going to go into it too much today, but what we've done is incredible. And we're going to be We're going to be doing some incredible things together because I look at our region, if I can call it that, as being very important. It's been abandoned by the United States for so many years. You know, they went so far away. They went to these faraway places where they weren't even wanted. And a lot of stupid people, really stupid people. But Marco is going to go down, I think, as the best Secretary of State in history. That's my opinion. Now, I'm a little prejudiced because I like him too. But I think he's on his way. So you've done 25%. You got 75%. He's got 3 years left. So he's got 25% under your belt. So far, you're leading. You're very leading by just about a smidge over a couple of pretty great ones. We've had a couple of pretty great ones. But I think he's going to do that. And I think Pete's right there, too. If Pete keeps going, he's going to be something, too. At what he does. All of the nations in this room share the same priorities: security, prosperity, free commerce, and the rule of law. And you want the rule of law. Sometimes your communities don't let you have it because you got some rough communities, right? That's why together we're also forming the Shield of Americas, a new organization to advance these shared priorities in our hemisphere. And we're pleased to be joined as well by Secretaries Pete Hegseth, Scott Bessent. Scott, thank you very much, Scott. Oh, it has to be a big deal if you're here. Well, he controls the purse strings of the country. You know, he goes on television and he just soothes everybody. He did it yesterday. The prices were going. He got on. He's a soothing person. He's actually a killer, but I don't want to say that. No, he's a soothing person. He goes on television. Right, Pete? I think nobody better. So we could use him for war every once in a while, you know, soothe. Although we don't really want that kind of a personality for war. We want your personality for war. You're just perfect. Howard Lutnick. Thank you, Howard. Chris Wright. Kristi Noem. Along with U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, who you all know and you deal with. You deal very successfully. I ask Jameson all the time, can you get more? Can you get more? He's the king of tariffs, right? But he's very gentle. We want to be very gentle with our friends, right, Jameson? Deputy Secretary of State Chris Landau. Chris, where is Chris? I haven't seen Chris. He's fantastic. He was an incredible student. He went to the best schools, and he was #1 in his class at all times. And Marco saw that and saw the talent he's got. And she said, that's the guy I want as a deputy. And I heard you're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller. Stephen is, I don't have to tell you anything about Stephen. Everyone knows. There's nothing, Stephen, there's nothing I can say. He's fantastic. That's all I can say. And Senator Bernie Moreno, who's a credible friend of mine. And he ran a great race. He was not given much of a chance. He was running against a person who was there for a long time and was sort of considered a shoo-in, right, Bernie? And we knocked him out. We knocked him out. He's trying to make a comeback, but we took him out. And Bernie's done a great job. For decades, leaders in this region have allowed large swaths of territory, the Western Hemisphere, to come under the direct control, and transnational gangs have taken over and they've run areas of your country. We're not going to let that happen. We'll help you. And bloodthirsty cartels that impose their will through murder, torture, extortion, drug trafficking, bribery, and terror. And some of you are in danger. I mean, you're actually in danger. It's hard to believe. But we're working with you to do whatever we have to do. We'll use missiles. If you want us to use a missile, they're extremely accurate. Boom, right into the living room. That's the end of that cartel person. But we'll do whatever you need if you want. A lot of countries don't want to do that. They say, oh, sure, I'd rather not have that. I'd rather not have. I believe they could be spoken to. I don't think so. Many of them don't want, and that's okay too. You're going to do you. But if you need help, you're going to let us know, okay? Many of the cartels have developed sophisticated military operations, highly sophisticated. In some cases, they say they're more powerful than the military in the country. Can't have that. These brutal criminal organizations pose an unacceptable threat to national security, and they provide a dangerous gateway for foreign adversaries in our region, and we don't want them near our country either. We don't want them to come in. They're cancer, you know. They're cancer, and we don't want it spreading. We have a very strong border. You know, we have a border now where for 9 months, 0 people have been able to come through. It's hard to believe, actually, because we went from 25 million people coming in over the Biden, Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst presidents in history of the world. He was the worst president in the history of our country. We've had some pretty bad ones. Recently, we've had some pretty bad ones, but he's the worst. But he would go down as one of the worst in the world. I'm going to up his category now. It's horrible what he did. And what he didn't do was probably worse than what he did. Every leader here today is united in the conviction that we cannot and will not tolerate the lawlessness in our hemisphere any longer. The only way to defeat these enemies is by unleashing the power of our militaries. We have to use our military. You have to use your military. You can't fight these people with, and you have great police. You have some great police, but they threaten your police. They scare your police. You're going to use your military. In many cases, our forces have already been working closely with yours, and the United States looks forward to deepening and expanding that cooperation in the months ahead. And it's so good that we got to know so many of you. I mean, we're so many. And I'd love to get to your countries at some point. Marco loves going to your countries. He's always at one of these countries. He likes your countries the best, okay? You know, where are you? I'm in Chile. Oh, good. How's Chile doing? Good. He likes it. He feels very comfortable. We all like him, right? It helps. He's got a language. He's got a language advantage over me because I'm not learning your damn language. I don't have time. I was okay with languages, but I'm not going to spend time learning your language. That much I won't do. Just give me a good interpreter. Interpreter, very important. And I know if somebody's good. I may not speak the language, but I know I had an interpreter recently that wasn't good, talking to a very strong person from a different part of the world. And I could tell, even though I don't speak the language, I could tell the interpreter was not good. When you go, when I give a long, flowing, beautiful sentence, and in this case, it was a woman, and she gave it in about 1/4 the time. I said, well, their language may be efficient, but it's not that efficient. And I could also tell when I have great interpreters. Interpreters are very important. You know, you have a bad interpreter. You think you're doing well? Boy, did I do a good job talking to this one or that. Was I great when I spoke to Putin today? Was I great when I spoke to President Xi? Was I great? But if the interpreter isn't speaking right, or is weak, or is ineffective, or is just not good, or not interpreting your words correctly. In one case, we had an interpreter who, when she disagreed with what we were saying, she actually changed it. We considered her a foreign minister, right? But no, the interpreter is, I talk about it all the time. Interpreters are really important. When you don't speak the language, they don't speak the language. People have no idea. People have no idea how valuable, and I'm on them all the time. People have no idea how valuable a good interpreter is. But over the last year, the world has witnessed the supreme power of the United States. We're the most powerful military country in the world. Again, I rebuilt it I spent so much time rebuilding it, over $1 trillion. And now we just had another budget. We may be going to $1.5 trillion. We're building a thing called a battleship, like in the old days, remember? We have a Secretary of the Navy, and he suggested, I've always said, why don't we have battleships anymore, shooting big bullets instead of, $3 million rockets? And they said, well, sir, we just don't have them. Nobody could give me the answer, but we're actually building 10 of them. And I said, you remember the old ones you'd see Victory at Sea, remember Victory at Sea? And you'd see these ships going through those waves like the waves were nothing, although the waves are pretty powerful. They knock out a lot of territory, but you'd see these incredible, they're pieces of art. beautiful, most beautiful, the big battleships of the 1940s, right? Power. I said, well, would we ever want to bring them back? Because we have some of them, they're museums and other things. And they said, sir, the new ship is 100 times more powerful than what we were looking at with those guns and French. Amazing, right? 100 times. I said, you sure it's not maybe 90 times? 100 times more powerful. And we're building 10 of them, not to use them. We don't want to use them, but by having them, nobody's going to play games. So just good to have them. We don't want to use them. They'll say, oh, he's very militaristic. I'm the one that ended 8 wars. I'm the one that, and we have another one coming, I think. The easiest was that, and that was just, and you know, as you would understand this, the hatred between Putin and his counterpart is so great, okay? It's so great that, you know, Ukraine, Russia, you'd think there'd be a little bit of camaraderie, there's not. And the hatred is so great, it's very hard for them to get there. It's very, very hard to get there. So we'll see what happens. But we've been close a lot of times, and one or the other would back out. But we're losing, you know, they're losing. You know, it doesn't really affect us very much because we've got an ocean separating. I'm doing it as a favor to Europe, and I'm doing it as a favor to life because they're losing 25,000 souls. Think of that every month. 25,000. Last month, 31,000, both sides, 31,000 people died, mostly soldiers. So I have an ability to get those things done, to bring people together, and I did great with so many. India, Pakistan, that was going to be a disaster. I was raging for a number of days. I did that through trade. I used tariffs and trade. And it was amazing. But we did amazing. One was 32 years, one was 34, and one was 37 years, and we got it done very quickly. And we'll get this one done too. But the hatred is, hatred's an amazing thing. People do bad things, and people don't get things done when the hatred is too great. That's a lot of it. Just as we formed a coalition to eradicate ISIS in the Middle East, we must now do the same thing to eradicate the cartels at home. So we did eradicate ISIS. Now, during the 4 years, we had a rigged election. You probably read about it, probably heard something. So it gave me 4 years to contemplate and to stage my comeback. I staged big comeback. They say it was a comeback. I didn't think it was a comeback because I had the people on my side. So I didn't view it as a comeback, but they did everything possible during that 4 years. They're crooked politicians, dirty cops. They're dirty cops. They did everything possible to make it impossible for me to win. And I won in a landslide. But during that period of time, I learned a lot. And I learned how you people, and I saw it so badly, how you're suffering with what's happening with the crime in the region. And I said, if we ever come back, we're going to eradicate that crime. And I'm going to work with you. And if you want, we're going to do it. We can do it pretty easily. As part of our commitment to countering the cartel presence in our region, we must recognize the epicenter of cartel violence is Mexico. The Mexican cartels are fueling and orchestrating much of the bloodshed and chaos in this hemisphere, and the United States government will do whatever is necessary to defend our national security and to protect the safety of the American people. No, look, it's coming through Mexico. And I like the president very much. She's a very good person. She's got a beautiful voice, a beautiful woman, but beautiful voice. President. I said, let me eradicate the cartels. No, please, President. We have to eradicate them. We have to knock the hell out of them because they're getting worse. They're taking over that country. The cartels are running Mexico. We can't have that. Too close to us, too close to you. But everything comes in through Mexico, mostly. At the same time, all of us must recommit to.
You've been listening to President Trump speaking at the Shield of America Summit in Doral, Florida, meeting with Latin American leaders. The White House says it's aimed at bringing together the countries to talk about securing the border and taking on cartels. But he started his remarks speaking about the conflict in Iran. He says the strikes are going very well. His assessment on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 15. The president saying he wants to keep the war to a minimum and that the conflict is doing a service not only for the Middle East, but also for the world. Today marks 1 week since those strikes began, taking out Iran's supreme leader. Now, Iran's president is saying his country will no longer attack neighboring countries unless an attack on Iran originates from those countries. Later today, the president plans to attend a dignified transfer in Dover for the 6 U.S. service members who were killed in this war with Iran. That concludes this breaking news report. We'll have more coverage as news develops on our streaming network, NBC News Now, online at NBCnews.com, and a full wrap-up tomorrow on Today.
We used to have a debate about who loved each other more.
Mommy!
I love you more. No, I love you more. And sometimes I even go to sleep and I still say it.
What the hell was that? Where's the speech?
I call him the Great Divider. But
Okay, sorry.
a lot of people into our country shouldn't be here, but in particular Biden, because Biden had no idea what he was doing. He had no clue. It was being run by whoever got near the auto pen was running the country. He was the auto pen president. And frankly, they let at least 25 million people come in to our country, some from prisons, some from mental institutions, gang members, the heads of gangs, the mentally insane. I'll tell you, people came in from mental institutions and insane asylums. And we took them. We had an open border policy. It's a policy divided and devised by idiots, but they poured into our country. So we went from the worst border in history to by far the best border. We have the best, strongest border we've ever had. We have great people that did that job by securing our border and cracking down on traffickers and smugglers. We've reduced the fentanyl pouring across our border by 67%. This is in our first year, give me a little more time, we'll do better. 67%, which is a number that's unthinkable. They say if you could do 2%, 1%, but we got it down 67%. And we got a lot of the murderers out. We had 11,888 murderers allowed in our country with this ridiculous open border policy that these eggheads put in. But we're also working closely with you on ending human smuggling and the implementing of the safe third country agreements, which are very important. In January, America's armed forces also ended the reign of one of the biggest cartel kingpins of all, with the Operation Absolute Resolve to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice in a precision raid that nobody's ever seen anything like it. This was in a very powerful military base, fort. And they went in and they took him out and they got him out, and people couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. We went right into the heart and took him out. And it was nasty. It was about 18 minutes of pure violence. And we took him out. We lost nobody. Not one person was lost. Not one aircraft or no military equipment, zero. People have never seen anything like it. And you're talking about into a military base with a lot of soldiers, good soldiers. Since that operation, we've been working closely with the new president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, who's doing a great job working with us. I mean, she's doing a great job because she's working with us. If she wasn't working with us, I would not say she's doing a great job. In fact, if she wasn't working with us, I'd say she's doing a very poor job. Unacceptable. No, but she's doing a great job, Marco, right? And gets along great with Marco. And we're taking out tremendous amounts of oil. They're making more money now than they've ever made. We have the big oil companies in. They are making more money. We're getting some. They're getting a lot. They're making more money now than they've ever made in the history of their country. Can you imagine? And it's being spent properly, and they're watching it closely. And I'm pleased to say that this week we have formally recognized the Venezuelan government. We've actually legally recognized them. We have also just reached a historic gold deal. It's called the gold deal with Venezuela to allow our two countries to work together to facilitate the sale of Venezuelan gold and other minerals. They have great amounts of gold. They have good land. I tell you, very good land. But they weren't able to take advantage. The system didn't allow them to take advantage of the value of their land. As we achieve a historic transformation in Venezuela, we're also looking forward to the great change that will soon be coming to Cuba. Cuba's at the end of the line. They're very much at the end of the line. They have no money. They have no oil. They have a bad philosophy. They have a bad regime that's been bad for a long time. And they used to get the money from Venezuela. They get the oil from Venezuela. But they don't have any money from Venezuela. They don't have any oil. They don't have anything from. People can't even. They land in Cuba. They can't get gasoline to fly out. They have to leave their planes behind. And they want to negotiate, and they are negotiating with Marco and myself and some others. And I would think a deal would be made very easily with Cuba. But for 50 years, I've been hearing, as a little boy, I'd be hearing about Cuba. Cuba's a disaster. But I've been hearing so much about Cuba. But Cuba's in its last moments of life, as it was. It'll have a great new life, but it's in its last moments of life the way it is. And but our focus right now is on Iran, and we'll do that. I would say, what will you do? Take about 2 days off, Marco? No, he won't. Maybe an hour. He'll take 1 hour off, and then he'll finish up a deal on Cuba. That'll be an easy one. But it'll be the entire region that we're doing that. Many of you have come today, and they say, I hope you can take care of Cuba because you've had problems with Cuba, right? You mentioned. I was surprised, but 4 of you said, actually, could you do us a favor? Take care of Cuba. I'll take care of it, okay? So, and as these situations in Venezuela and Cuba should make clear under our new doctrine, and it is a doctrine, we will not allow hostile foreign influence to gain a foothold in this hemisphere. That includes the Panama Canal, which we talked about. We're not going to allow it. And together we'll protect our sovereignty, our security, and our cherished freedom and independence. And just in finishing up, the nations gathered here today are filled with unlimited potential. You have tremendous potential. It's a great part of the world. But to fulfill that tremendous potential, we must smash the grip of the cartels and criminal gangs and horrible organizations run by, in some cases, absolute animals, and truly liberate our people. And some people are afraid to do it because they've gotten such a foothold. But I think you can get out of that. We'll work with you if you need. With the courage and resolve of the leaders in this room, great leaders will make our nation safer, stronger, richer, and more successful than ever before. So I want to thank you all very much for coming. I look forward to the incredible progress that's soon to come. You're going to see some incredible things. And now I'd like to ask Secretary Rubio and Secretary Hegseth to say a few words, and then I'll sign a proclamation formally launching the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, which is what it is. It's a counter cartel coalition. And thank you all for being here very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank all the leaders that are here today. I'll be very brief. First of all, Mr. President, thank you for making this region a priority. We've had successive American presidents say that the Western Hemisphere is going to be a priority, and they never do it. And the president has made it a personal priority. He's also a president of action. That's why I believe he will go down as the most historic figure, one of the most historic figures in American history, and certainly of the last 100 years, because of what he has been able to do and is doing right now with the Western Hemisphere. Thank you for your bold leadership. It's an honor to be able to serve in your administration. And Mr. President, 2 points I want to make. The first is we have a lot of allies around the world, and we are grateful for our allies. And the countries represented here today, all 12 of the leaders here are allies, but they're more than allies, they're friends. At a time when we have learned that oftentimes an ally, when you need them, maybe may not be there for you. These are countries that have been there for us, and these are leaders that are not just allies, they are friends, and they are always willing to work and cooperate with the United States, and we're grateful for them. And as you said, Mr. President, these are also countries with extraordinary potential. Some are fulfilling it, some are well on their way to fulfilling it, and this is important. We want to be a partner with you in that. We want the world to see that when you are a friend and an ally of the United States, it is a good thing. It's reciprocated. It comes back the other way as well. And so the fact the president is here today and making this a priority is so critical. If I may, because some of these cameras cover in Spanish. You all right? Oh, good. We don't need an interpreter for this one. Quiero darle las gracias. I think I'm a good interpreter. You'll find out in a second. But las gracias a los países que están aquí hoy. Estos países, primero, el presidente ha hecho esta región una prioridad en su administración. Hay muchos presidentes que han dicho que lo van a hacer, pero él lo ha hecho y se lo agradecemos. Y muy agradecido a los 12 países que están aquí hoy. Estos son países que no solamente son aliados, son amigos. Son países que siempre responden cuando hay una necesidad y trabajan en conjunto con nosotros y queda mucho por hacer. Estos son países que tienen una gran población, mucho potencial y queremos ser sus socios en desarrollar a sus países, sus economías y su seguridad. Y le doy las gracias de verdad por estar aquí en el día de hoy con nosotros. Que Dios bendiga a todos esos países, a los Estados Unidos y gracias como siempre por la cooperación. Seguiremos trabajando en conjunto y vamos a hacer cosas muy buenas, muy importantes para esta región que van a hacer que en las generaciones futuras nos van a agradecer el labor que estamos haciendo en el momento de hoy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is he better in Spanish or in English? I think he's better in Spanish. I mean, it's great. Pete, please.
Mr. President, I only speak American. Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here and to establish in this hemisphere peace through strength. For far too long, our country's gaze was only on borders in far-flung places. Not our own border, not our own hemisphere, not the Western Hemisphere. President Trump has established the Trump corollary of the Monroe Doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine. And the War Department is implementing it as fast as we can. In fact, 2 days ago, Mr. President, we launched 18 countries were signatories to the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, ACCC, which is not just an organization that's going to hold conferences and release white papers. That's not what we exist to do. It's an action coalition of like-minded countries who are going to bring their capabilities to bear with American leadership at the forefront to ensure we attack and get after this cartel challenge, which for far too long we have accepted as some new normal in our own countries. President Trump and the American people rejected that in our own. We don't have to live with communities flooded with drugs or violence or cartels and gangs. We can seal our border, and we have to for our citizens. We share a hemisphere and geography. We share cultures, Western Christian civilization. We share these things together. We have to have the courage to defend it. And we have a commander-in-chief in our country who's set that compass heading. And at the War Department, we look forward to working with all of your countries and more that are not here to say, with our shared assets and our intelligence and our capabilities, with American leadership, we will go on offense against the cartels. They will know that we're just around the corner. Whether it's drug boats or on land, the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, the ACCC, will be a force for good, for peace through strength in this hemisphere. We look forward to working with your great countries. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Keep that music going. Keep it going. Thank you.
I hope I don't get a copyright for this music, y'all. Maybe I should turn this off. Hold on. Look at them. They're beautiful. Why is he sitting at the... Oh, why am I reading your comments? Look at this. Is a really touching moment. They put the fallen soldiers, they did a like ceremony. Rest in peace. Okay. Okay. Ugh. Let me find you guys. Oh goodness, how did you guys not feel that? Ah. There we go. Let's switch gears a little bit. Oh wait.
Fury. And Admiral, I want to thank you every level. In just days of Operation Epic Fury, you and your team have delivered nothing short of devastating, precise strikes, taking out the better part of Iran's Navy, making it combat ineffective, neutralizing missile sites and launchers, and establishing total dominance over the skies we fly over and seas we fly over. Our forces are executing with unmatched skill, and the mission is advancing decisively. This is the kind of no-nonsense, results-driven warfighting that America demands. And you're delivering it in spades. You are the man for this moment. Admiral Cooper, on behalf of the President, the Department of War, and every American watching, I want to thank you for the outstanding job you and CENTCOM are doing. Keep pressing the fight, and we are with you all the way. A few thoughts before I hand it over to the Admiral for an update. Iran is hoping that we cannot sustain this, which is a really bad miscalculation for the IRGC in Iran. You see, there's no shortage of American will here. We remember and honor our fallen, those 6 that we will soon welcome at Dover, who gave everything for their country in this mission. We remember them. But we remember them by rededicating ourselves even more fervently to this mission. Our commitment to our mission objectives only increases as our advantages continue to increase. We've got no shortage of munitions. Our stockpiles of defensive and offensive weapons allow us to sustain this campaign as long as we need to. Again, our munition status only increases as our advantage increases. Our capabilities, we have only just begun to fight and fight decisively. Having a chance to hear from Admiral Cooper. If you think you've seen something, just wait. The amount of combat power that's still flowing, that's still coming, that will be able to project over Iran is a multiples of what it currently is right now when you add up our capabilities and those of the Israeli Defense Forces. And we have no shortage of authorities. The Admiral knows we have clear objectives with maximum authorities on the battlefield. The dumb, politically correct wars of the past were the opposite of what we're doing here. They had vague objectives with restrictive, minimalist rules of engagement. No more. Our authorities, his authorities, CENTCOM's authorities through the President and myself are maxed out. Our capabilities are overwhelming and gathering still, as are those of our Israeli partners. Our munitions are full up, and our will is ironclad, which means our timeline is ours and ours alone to control. As long as it takes to ensure the United States of America achieves these objectives. And as we flow more forces, and as we flow more capabilities, and as our munitions as we're flying over the top, have even more devastating effects. We set the tempo, we set the timeline, led by the commander on the ground. Our ear is to the ground to listen to Admiral Cooper, what he needs, and what he needs, he will get. We are built for this fight, and we are in it to win it. And we have the right commander in the lead. So I'll now hand it over to Admiral Brad Cooper to give you an update right here from CENTCOM. Admiral.
Mr. Secretary, first, thank you very much and good afternoon and welcome to U.S. Central Command Headquarters, America's Warfighting Headquarters. It's great to be here alongside the Secretary and representing the more than 50,000 men and women in uniform currently executing Operation Epic Fury. So, Mr. Secretary, first, thank you very much for your leadership and support and the very clear vision and objectives that you've given us to allow us to use overwhelming force against the Iranian terrorist regime. And thanks to all of you for attending today and welcome to Tampa. We are now starting our 6th day of a historic mission to eliminate Iran's ability to threaten Americans. We are, if I could channel my inner Navy officer, we are at full speed ahead in executing orders given by leadership in Washington. The President and Secretary Hegseth have been crystal clear in their expectations, and we are at a high level of execution. As described by the Secretary and earlier this week by me, U.S. combat power is building as Iranian combat power declines. Our air dominance allows us to hit Iran's center of gravity with overwhelming power and reach. A couple of examples. In just the last 72 hours, America's bomber force has struck nearly 200 targets deep inside of Iran, including around Tehran. And in just the last hour, U.S. B-2 bombers dropped dozens of 2,000-pound penetrator bombs, targeting deeply buried ballistic missile launchers. Notably, we've also struck Iran's equivalent of Space Command, which degrades their ability to threaten Americans. Then, if I just look back over the last 24 hours of the operation compared to where we were at its start, ballistic missile attacks have decreased by 90% since day one. Drone attacks have decreased by 83% since day one. Having said this, we remain vigilant. Our strikes against the Iranian Navy have intensified. You may have heard the president say just a little while ago that we have sunk or destroyed 24 ships. That was true at the moment. We're now up over 30 ships. And in just the last few hours, we hit an Iranian drone carrier ship, roughly the size of a World War II aircraft carrier. And as we speak, it's on fire. The president gave us another task: to raise or level Iran's ballistic missile industrial base. So we're not just hitting what they have, we're destroying their ability to rebuild. And so as we transition to the next phase of this operation, we will systemically dismantle Iran's missile production capability for the future, and that's absolutely in progress. This is going to take some time, but our forces are well supplied, as the Secretary said, and we are absolutely ready to prosecute this mission decisively. Our combined joint forces have relentlessly destroyed Iran's air defenses over the past few days, and they've continued hunting for more systems to kill. Our air defenders are operating at the very top of their game. I couldn't be prouder, shoulder to shoulder with our partners in the region, in many cases, providing the most integrated air defense network in Middle East history. We are fighting to win. Through combined U.S. and Israeli combat power, we will continue decimating Iran's ability to project power outside its borders. And if I can just conclude by saying a strong salute to the brave men and women who are out on the pointy edge of this, really doing exceptional work. I just couldn't be prouder, and I know the American people share in that same pride. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. And with that, we'll take a few questions. Yeah, right here.
The U.S. has asked for specific capabilities to really shed drones, Iranian drones. You guys talked about what you asked for. And has there been any surprises from Iranian capabilities that you guys have seen in the past 6 days?
We're very familiar with Iranian's capabilities, and as you might imagine, we planned for it right from the outset, and I feel good about what the plan was. Like any good organization, we adjust as necessary to meet the environment, and we've made those appropriate adjustments. Absolutely. Right here.
One, was an American pilot shot down today in Iraq? And two, I've heard reports that there's enriched uranium stored in Isfahan. I'm also heard reports that there's not a lot of bombing there. Is that on purpose? Do we believe there's enriched uranium there? And would we ever send special forces to secure it?
As
CENTCOM pointed out that those reports of an F-15 being shot down are false. As you can imagine, Iran is doing everything it can to peddle in lies, deception, and inflation of numbers and reality, mostly to propagandize to their own people, right? They've shut down the internet. They're hoping they can convince their own population that they're having success. One thing one of their leaders said recently is that 500 Americans have been killed, they claim. These are lies. The lies will continue. CENTCOM will continue to debunk those lies. So, and as often is the case in conflict, first reports are often wrong. As it pertains to nuclear material and things like that, one of the objectives the president has always said is that Iran will not have a nuclear bomb, nuclear capabilities, but we would never disclose what we will or will not do inside operational plans. So Admiral Cooper's got a plan. We're working that plan, and targets will be struck or not struck according to what we want to achieve. Yeah, right there.
The president said earlier today in an interview that he would like to have a say in who's the next leader of Iran. Is this an expansion of your military objectives? Do you view it that way? And additionally, you spoke earlier today about how previous leaders have drawn resources from our hemisphere to the Middle East. How do you avoid that?
Well, there's no expansion. Ultimately, I think the president's having a heck of a say in who runs Iran, given the ongoing operation we have. So there's no expansion in our objectives. We know exactly what we're trying to achieve. I think today's a great example of what this War Department is capable of doing. I was just in another part of Florida today where we announced, America's counter cartel conference. 18 countries coming together from Central, South America, and the Caribbean, coming together to fight cartels. That is something that is ongoing. We're focused there. We're focused in the Indo-Pacific. We can mass combat power in CENTCOM. EUCOM is able to support that as well. So we know we're laser focused on our hemisphere and our homeland. That's why we locked down the border. That's why we're working with partners to take on cartels. That's why we're sinking drug boats. That's why we're on the offense there. But the beautiful things about combatant commands is that, Brad Cooper's laser focused on Central Command, just like Frank Donovan is laser focused on Southern Command. We can do both. That's what a global power can do. Ultimately, this issue of Iran's nuclear pursuit and their unwillingness through negotiations to stop it was something President Trump has said for a long time needs to be dealt with. And after 47 years, he's doing something that no other president was willing to do. And we're doing it overwhelmingly, and we're doing it decisively, while also in other parts of the globe having the desired effects. I mean, take, for example, what we displayed yesterday, the Iranian ship in the Indian Ocean, sunk by Indo-PACOM, another combatant command, who coordinated with us in order to make that happen. So America's reach is global. Our focus here, though, these missions are narrow, they're scoped, and Admiral Cooper is well on his way to ensuring that we reach those objectives. Right here, yes, sir.
Harold, condolences for the troops killed. Do the Ukrainians talking about providing low-cost interceptors, given their experience? Is that something that the Pentagon is looking for? And Admiral Cooper, can you walk us through a little bit about how effective the Lucas drones have been, what kind of targets they've hit, and how much that's helped, given that they're low-cost alternatives to the more expensive
Sure. I'm not familiar with the particular offer, but the interceptors in general, we've had a number of new capabilities being fielded. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about it from the operational perspective of what those are. But I think you have seen over a period of time us kind of get on the other side of this cost curve on drones in general. If I just walk back a couple of years, you remember what you used to always hear? We're shooting down a $50,000 drone with a $2 million missile. These days, we're spending a lot of time shooting down $100,000 drones with $10,000 weapons from ours. So that's one aspect of it. Lucas, indispensable, as many of you know, and if you don't know, this was an original Iranian drone design. We captured it, pulled the guts out, sent it back to America, put a little Made America on it, brought it back here, and we're shooting them at the Iranians. Good targets.
Good targets. Absolutely. Right there.
Thank you so much, Secretary. President Trump, in his first speech after the launch of the Operation Epic Fury, he addressed Iranian people and he said that there is going to be a time for you to come out, but it's not now. Stay home. It's not safe. I want to know if there is a timeline for that you're going to urge Iranian people to come out, how that is going to play out, and how are you going to
protect the protesters. You know that they're going to be shot probably, as we witnessed in January. That's what happened. How are you going to protect and support the protesters? And Admiral, I have one question for you. How are you going to minimize the civilian harms? We have a lot of evidence that the besieged units, IRGC commanders, they are now gathering in schools, in hospitals, in purely residential areas because their headquarters are bombarded, they are ruined, of course. So how are you going to protect the civilians while you're attacking the IRGC people hard? Thank you.
I would just say on the protests, obviously the Iranian people showed a lot of courage in those protests. And we saw the Iranian regime was revealed for what it is in the way they reacted to that. The world saw that. No one's done more than President Trump to reopen the opportunity for those who want a free Iran to do so. Ultimately, it's common sense, as he said up front. Don't go out and protest while bombs are dropping inside Tehran and elsewhere. So there will come a moment where he determines, or they determine, that it's the time to seize that advantage. But there's a lot of things we're doing and the Israeli military is doing, targeting those individuals who are targeting those who protest. The more you do that and you erode their will and you erode their capabilities, the more you create an opportunity for people to boldly stand up.
Yeah, I would just reinforce the point. We're targeting the people, or we're targeting the headquarters and the people who are targeting the protesters, first and foremost. I'd also just double down on the president's comments that he previously made to the people: stay in your homes, keep things calm, stay out of the way. There's a lot of U.S. and Israeli capacity coming over. We're hitting a lot of targets. The best thing for them to do for right now is just to lay low.
Right here.
One common outcome of American military action in the past has been taking in thousands of refugees into the American homeland, and I'm wondering if there's any safeguards put in place to make sure that the American people aren't having to have another wave of refugees from the Middle East or anywhere else come and stay here.
I think it's safe to say there's no plan for a wave of Middle Eastern refugees to the United States of America. I think, as the president has pointed out for a long time, there are a lot of countries in the region who would be capable of providing that kind of support if need be, but that's certainly not something we're planning on. Yeah, back to you.
Yes, sir. Michael in Washington Times. I wanted to ask, I know, Semper Gumby is always a truism in the military. Did the British decision to refuse Diego Garcia have any impact on the mission itself? Did you have to adjust, or were you able to just completely, go with the mission without even worrying about that?
Well, as the president stated, it was unfortunate that the Brits didn't, from day one, say, "Hey, go ahead and have access." But we got there. And that's now part of the way that we're operationalizing bomber runs. And that's part of when we say more to come. It's more fighter squadrons, it's more capabilities, it's more defensive capabilities, and it's more bomber pulses more frequently. The amount of firepower over Iran and over Tehran is about to surge dramatically. And part of it is that we're going to have even more basing. And it's not just the UK. We've had other friends step up, and we're grateful for that. Maybe one more right here.
Yeah, the Azeri president earlier today basically authorized his Minister of Defense to begin preparing troops for some type of retaliatory action after the airport strike. Has the Department of War and CENTCOM been working on deconflicting with the Azeri if they were to move in or attempt something in retaliation?
I'm sure there are plans, and I'll let the Admiral speak to that. But that does allow me to kind of address this idea that the war might be expanding, or there's chaos, and nothing could be further from the truth. If anything, what Iran is doing by targeting allied countries that would otherwise want to stay out of this, they've actually pulled them into the American orbit. So now you've got UAE and Qatar and Bahrain and Saudi and Kuwait and others saying, "Hey, we're with you. We'll shoot with you. We'll fly with you. We'll defend with you. We'll allow you more basing and other a lot of which we can't talk about and won't talk about." But it's actually firming up the unity of the resistance in order to focus exactly where we need to. So this idea that it's expanding or going, no, it's actually simplifying in a number of ways exactly what we need to achieve and how we'll achieve it. I don't know if you
I won't get ahead of policy in terms of what we might do. What I will point out is this is now the 12th country that Iran has attacked. 12 countries, and it goes right back to the Secretary's point. Those 12 countries are none too happy. And I look forward to working with all the partners who are willing to join us in this.
And I would just close by saying,
what is your message to Americans who are concerned about security here at home with the change up that we're going to see at the Department of Homeland Security?
well, I think Kristi Noem did an excellent job over there securing our border and keeping us focused on threats, and the president making a change. We all serve at the pleasure of the president. I'm sure Mark Wayne Mullen will do a fantastic job. He's been a friend of mine for a long time, but Kristi did a great job setting us up for success. So I don't have any concerns about whether or not the homeland will be covered down on. And I'll just end by saying, I wish every American could get a chance to see what we see. I had a chance to go into the control room, into the Tactical Operations Center, go see these young men and women that are doing this, the dedication that they show at every level, the way they've refined their craft. I'm talking to a young colonel who's iterating on how we target and how we find and fix different aspects of what the Iranians are trying to do. If they don't know what they're up against. And if they think they've got it solved for, they're wrong. And ultimately, the combination of our ingenuity, the skill, the professionalism, the discipline, and then the sheer weight of the capabilities of the U.S. military, what you're going to see may look routine. It may start to be like, oh, another boat. Oh, another launcher. Oh, another drone facility. What it takes to do this with the precision that we do is world-class. No one else can do it. And it's world-class Americans. Like the ones I saw here, like the ones that are coming home that we're going to greet home, that are the engine of what makes our country great. And so I'm so grateful for folks like those here at CENTCOM, at Central Command, who are under your command. Thank you for your decisive leadership. And all I'll say to you is what I say to them, keep going. Because the president and myself, we have your back.
Be sure to
keep going. Keep going. You guys, you think this war is going to go on for a while? Yeah. What do you think? Let me see what I got. Yeah. Oh, shoot.
Casualties the Iran war.
We're going to have a much safer world, you know.
Yes, it.
So, you know, this is a minor excursion, but when this ends, we're going to have a much safer world, and we will have gotten rid of a lot of sick and demented people, the leadership.
Now, tonight, Israeli forces dropped bombs on Iran's oil refineries outside the capital. The U.S. and Israel together are averaging as many strike sorties per day as the entire coalition during the Gulf War. Part of the reason Israel is able to send so many jets 1,000 miles from their bases in Israel to Tehran, the same distance from New York to Minneapolis, by the way, is because the U.S. Air Force has 100 refueling planes in theater. That's twice the number used during Operation Midnight Hammer. And no country has been hit harder by Iran than this one where I'm standing, Joey. Over 40% of Iran's missiles and drones have been launched at the UAE. That's twice the number that have been launched at Israel. Recall the UAE is a party to the Abraham Accords, establishing diplomatic relations with Israel. That was signed during President Trump's first term. And tonight, a skyscraper here in Dubai was hit by falling debris after a drone was blasted out of the sky. Authorities say the debris also fell into a car, setting it on fire and killing the Pakistani driver inside. And this morning, a drone also managed to slip through Emirati air defense systems and hit the Dubai airport, shutting down operations for a short time. And just some movements to report. Joey, the Ford aircraft carrier strike group has departed the Eastern Mediterranean, has transited the Suez Canal, and is now in the Red Sea. The Abraham Lincoln strike group remains in the Arabian Sea. And the USS George H.W. Bush strike group, an aircraft carrier the president visited a few months ago, she is getting ready to deploy from Norfolk very soon.
Real quick, Lucas, on that, is the anticipation that I believe it's the Ford strike group that's been out the longest, is the anticipation that one is replacing the other, or that all three will stay there in operation?
Could be, Joey. You're right. Ford has been at sea since June, and another month from now, of course, takes a long time to return home to Norfolk, where Ford is based. She could be looking at an 11-month deployment.
Wow.
So certainly that's a lot of tax on the crew and the aircraft carrier itself. Yeah, 11 months. How about that? And Bush could be replacing Ford, but with Ford in the Red Sea, getting farther and farther away from Norfolk. So we could see 3 carrier operations for a short time before Ford heads home, Joey.
Thanks, Lucas.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here.
Aye. Hang on. Speaking of the left. I see you guys in the chat. I see something.
Out today. But the political fight, that continues as lawmakers cannot seem to agree on a plan to reopen the Department of Homeland Security.
Thank you, Black
For
Girls.
more, we are joined now by Senator Roger Marshall. Great to have you on the program, Senator. 8 Americans died overnight in these devastating tornadoes that spanned from Texas all the way up to Michigan. And you have to believe that FEMA is going to be asked to respond. FEMA is a part of the Department of Homeland Security that's not getting funded right now. So are there any Democrats, do you think, that are willing to join Republicans in reopening this department?
Yeah, well, good afternoon, Aisha. Kansas is certainly no stranger to tornadoes either. Fortunately, we were missed for the most part yesterday, and this storm is continuing. You can look from Houston all the way to Maine, and there's a big front coming across, and behind that's going to be tornadoes and hail as well. So right now, all we know is that every day the Democrats keep DHS shut down is the day that they're choosing politics over the safety and national security of our country. FEMA would be one of them as well. I just spoke to our National Guard folks yesterday who coordinate FEMA. They're very concerned about it as well. You would think in this moment, with sleeper cells wakening up across the country that are funded by Iran, that the Democrats would once again put national security, safety, FEMA ahead of their politics.
There has been a transition now at the top of this department. We have a brand new nominee for the secretary, your colleague, Markwayne Mullin. We'll see if he can get confirmed. You would think that might have been enough for Democrats to move them on reopening this department. But this is Cory Booker, and apparently it wasn't enough for him. Let's listen here.
But this changes nothing. We are in a shutdown right now because we have a rogue and reckless organization that is breaking into Americans' homes, jumping out of unmarked cars, masked, literally slamming Americans to the pavement, or worse, as we've seen in 2 cases, murdering people. We are seeing in Republican-run towns and Democratic-run towns that they don't want them there, that they're making us all less safe, that they said they were going to go after the worst of the worst.
And Senator, he's not alone. So what's it going to take? What can the Republicans offer to the Democrats to strike a deal?
Well, the Republicans need to stand tall, that we are the party of law and order. The Democrats are the party of defund the police. And in this situation, every Democrat that's running for president right now, which Cory Booker is, and he's a good friend, but he's running for president. So he's going to get all the political hype he can out of this. Again, they're putting politics ahead of the national security of this country. Republicans are always going to stand up for law and order, secure borders, make your family safe as well. So we're not going to fold on this one. And speaking to some of the ICE officers, they would rather not get paid than have to reveal who they are, that their own families are getting threatened back home.
Yeah.
So look, there's been a change at the top of DHS. They need to come to the table. Look, this is a very serious time for our country.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Senator, thank you very much. We'll see you back on the Hill next week. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch
President Trump
Oh,
earlier
what
today
did I
addressing
do?
the heads of Latin American nations at the first summit of the Shield of the Americas.
Where is that coming from? shoot, sorry.
He announced a new military coalition aimed to go after those cartels he was talking.
I don't know what happened. Wait, I'm sorry. Oh, mercy. I'm sorry, you guys. Hang on. Oh God, I don't know what happened right now or where I was, but are we still friends, you guys? Here we go. You guys.
Iranians in Tehran and Iranians around the world about what's been going on there.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, it's so good to be back with you on the program. I would like to first say that I join millions of my compatriots at home and abroad who thank President Trump for this much-needed intervention that brings us so much closer than ever to final victory and liberation. The situation on the ground is the fact that people obviously were waiting for an opportunity to get back to the streets to take their country back. We see more and more elements of the regime crumbling. A lot of people at home are ready to step in, and this is exactly what will be required for a successful and stable transition.
Well, we know that that's obviously the goal for a lot of people there in the country, and the Ayatollah is dead, but his supporters are actively trying to replace him. His son is actually rumored to be his potential successor. President Trump has called him a lightweight and says the U.S. must be involved in choosing the next leader in Iran. So what insight can you share about this now shattered regime and ultimately what comes next?
I would say, Lara, that the Iranian people are not going to settle for anything that is a remnant of the system in terms of legitimacy. Only a clean break will ensure that not only we achieve a democratic solution and alternative to this regime, but there will be people who are not in any form or shape directly associated with this regime. Most of the people we're talking about, unfortunately, are. That doesn't mean, however, that there are plenty of people in Iran who don't have blood on their hands, who can be part of the transition and the future system. And that's exactly why my plan has included a majority of elements on the ground that can be part of the solution, provided, of course, that they rally with us on the principles that are the element that unifies all of us fighting for a democracy. Iran's territorial integrity, a clean separation of religion from state, equality of all citizens under the law, and most importantly, a democratic process whereby the people can freely choose their future representatives in government. The transition involves leaving the people of Iran with that choice, and only the ballot box should determine the outcome and who would be in the future responsible for our country. I think what we will expect any government, including, of course, the current Trump administration, to recognize that indeed the best way to help the Iranian people is to allow them to make that choice freely and to support that choice as a Western democracy, as the leading democracy in the world.
So let me have you expand on that, because President Trump says that the next leader of Iran needs to be, of course, fair and just, but that a democracy is not the only path forward. Obviously, you've just noted that you, and I think we've heard you say many times, you would like to lead Iran's transition towards a free and fair election, as you just expanded on. So is a democratic government really the ultimate goal here, or do you actually see potential other options on the table?
I don't think, as an Iranian Democrat, and millions of Iranians agree with me on that, that we will settle for anything less than a democratic outcome. In the same way that today's free world democracies are in fact based on the very principles that guarantees people equality under the law and sovereignty, and only free elections and the ballot box should determine whoever will have a role to play. I don't see any formula outside democracy that will be lasting, tenable, or acceptable. The only way that people will accept the outcome is to make sure that they are in charge of their own destiny. And I don't think there's any other way than a democratic system that can guarantee that. That's a recipe for stability, long-term progress, a guarantee of protecting all the citizens of all of their rights. I don't think that anything outside of democracy will provide that and will leave us, instead of stability, a path to potentially chaos and domestic strife and civil war. I'm sure that's not the outcome that we are hoping to have. Therefore, I insist on the fact that democracy is our goal, and I think Iranians are quite capable of managing their own affairs. They have to be given that opportunity.
Well, it sounds like that is the consensus of most people there in the country based on what we've seen and what we've heard. Now, you said that Khamenei's death was an earth-shattering event for Iran. How do you anticipate the fall of this regime will impact its proxies in the region? Because we know how active they have been there. We know how much destruction and terror we've seen come from them. And ultimately, how can this help propel peace overall in the Middle East?
Well, again, to my previous point, in the democratic Iran, the immediate ramification of that means that unlike a regime that has fomented terrorism, supported proxies, have been a threat to the region, have pursued a very opaque and nuclear plan, all of this disappears in one shot. That's the benefit of making sure that a free Iran will guarantee, as a result, that all the problems that have been associated with this regime from its inception will disappear together with this regime, total disappearance. As a democracy, Iranians will be committed to establish an element of cordial relationship with our neighbors, bring peace to the area, bring an element of stability, which ultimately is conducive to development, prosperity, something that will be good for us, but it will also be good for our partners. I think America has a lot to gain as a result. And don't forget that after the dust settles and we achieve that future, then Iran is open for economic opportunities. Just on one aspect, I can tell you that the Iranian market that has been closed to America for almost half a century is the only remaining untapped economic opportunity. Could mean probably in the first 10 to 15 years, over $1 trillion worth of revenue to the US economy. Not to mention the fact that many Iranians or Americans or others who want to invest into Iran will immediately bring an economic impact that at the end of the day, long beyond human rights and democracy and freedom, actually puts food on the table, create employments, new jobs, all infrastructures that Iran need to bring back on par. And that's an opportunity that will drive, in a mutual way, a win-win scenario for both my compatriots as well as America, of course, and many countries that would like to consider Iran as their true partners in that future.
Well, we certainly like the sound of that. Now, we had President Trump calling on the Iranian Revolutionary Guard to lay down their arms and accept the immunity that he's offering. Take a listen to this.
And I'm once again calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military and the police, to lay down their arms. And now is the time to stand up for the Iranian people and help take back your country. We'll give you immunity, and we'll be giving you really the right side of history, because that's what it is. So you'll be perfectly safe with total immunity, or you'll face absolutely guaranteed death.
So, Prince Pahlavi, when and if a government transition begins, do you believe that those who do accept that immunity or others may try to stand in the way of progress?
Let me stress the importance of why we say, and I say, that except for those people who have been criminally implicated with this regime and have the blood of the Iranian people on their hand, there are many elements within the military, police forces, security forces, as well as the civil bureaucracy that can survive regime change and be part of the solution. That's the quickest way to ensure a stable transition. They have to be part of the solution as opposed to remain part of the problem. As a matter of fact, my own messaging, both to the military or security forces, as well as the civil bureaucracy, is the fact that they can see a future for themselves. We're not talking about de-Baathification like in Iraq. We're talking about a totally different scenario of change. I think this is something that should be acceptable to the American administration. And I think this is most importantly what is acceptable to the people of Iran. I think our Iranian elements inside will only trust a scenario whereby they are not only guaranteed their survival, provided that they are not criminally implicated, but will be part of the solution, and they will accept that as a true scenario of reconciliation, national unity. And I think that goes hand in glove with if that's the end game that we are looking for, whether it is from our prism or the prism you have right now under President Trump's administration.
Well, Prince Reza Pahlavi, we are so appreciative of you taking some more time to break it all down for us. We're praying for the best outcome there for your people in Iran, and we are certainly all going to be continuing to watch all of this unfold. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lara.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
That was a lot. That was a lot. Donald Trump, I see you guys talking about birthright citizenship. Donald Trump, the Trump administration has lost that fight for now. Several federal courts have denied his request for ending birthright citizenship. That's another conversation for another day. I have my feelings about that. Let me see y'all comments. What are you guys saying? Black Rose, y'all. Yeah, you guys. So there's a lot that's going on. It doesn't look like this war in Iran is ending anytime soon. Donald Trump has asked for a ceasefire, and the Iranian president said no. So that's where we are so far. Okay. Whew, there's a lot that is going on. You guys talk about Epstein. I have covered Epstein. I think I gave a pretty good timeline. And as more developments come out, there's so many emails that I've been going through. It's layered. And as more developments come out, more testimonies, I will play that for you. And whatever else you guys request. All right. So anyways, you guys, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will be back later. They should deny it. Trump is just they should deny what? Birthright citizenship? I have my thoughts and opinions on it. I think some people in the chat that's followed me for a while kind of know where I stand. Do you guys know where I stand with birthright citizenship? Another conversation for another day. My point was, hey, I'm just here to report the news. Donald Trump, the Trump administration so far has not been able to win that right. That's a constitutional right. So I think they'll have trouble overturning it. But hey, you never know. You never know. But so far, several federal courts said no. All right, you guys. Do you guys think they'll end birthright citizenship? Dr. Manhattan, look at, I'm like, I'm getting cross-eyed. I have a dance class in the morning. I'm going to teach a dance class in the morning. And then I got church, you guys. Oh, speaking of, I hope I saved it. Speaking of, hang on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. The Epstein files. Let me see if I can find it. There's an interview. I don't know if you guys watch Soft White Underbelly. I won't play that for you, but they have some of these survivors interviews on it. The latest one is Jenna Lisa Jones. I'm gonna listen to it tonight as I get ready for bed because I feel that the victims deserve justice. But unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to happen when you're dealing with very elite and very powerful people, and that's not right. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to say about that. You danced for like an hour. I danced for like, oh, you did, Dr. Manhattan? I like it. How about dancing on the piano, Eric? We are sheltered here in America. We're not used to seeing the real world. We are sheltered. I'm trying to see some of your comments before I go. Trump cannot stop birthright citizenship. It's common in all countries. That's partly true. Right now, Trump cannot stop birthright citizenship but it's not common in all countries. That's not true. If I have a baby in China, that baby is still American. They will not consider my little black baby Chinese, okay? So that's not true. But as far as it being protected by the Constitution, that's true. I like how in China, if I have a baby there, my child still maintains its American citizenship. They just do not automatically assume responsibility for my child. So, you know, it's a huge expense. USA or Iran, Qajar, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Don't forget, the United States is part of NATO. We're a huge part of NATO. I guess we're using donkeys too. Well, you know, isn't that the Democrat symbol? They should, but I don't know. You may have to give them this one. They're not going to end right damage. We have to pick and choose our battles. I don't think we're going to win that one. We have too many Democrats that's not going to understand the reasoning behind it. And this is not a slam against Democrats, okay? I don't care what you are, but that's where we are. I don't think that's gonna pass. Rubio and Cruz are birthright citizens, and so is Bear. Mercy. Germany doesn't allow dual citizenship anymore. You have to choose. Did that change, Eric? Okay. I know they used to, but they don't anymore. I don't know the latest on that one. Immigration policies have been grossly misinterpreted. Okay. Vince. And now they want to destroy something that benefits them, typical of this administration. Black Rose, I take it you don't like this administration. Ooh, mercy. I can't have that in the chat. I got to remove that comment. I don't like to censor you guys, but you can't put things in the chat. It's going to get me demonetized. So anyways, I'm praying for the country, you guys. There's a lot that's going on. Feel free to leave me comments under my community post, under any videos. Let me know what you guys want me to talk about. And if you disagree with me, that's okay too. Leave the comments under my videos. I don't always see them in the chat when you guys want me to look stuff up. Leave them there. I still say that Donald Trump is fighting for this country. Donald Trump is doing what the American people have voted for him to do, whether you like him or not. We all in this room have something in common. We all have something in common. And that's that Donald Trump is our president. So everyone is moving to Thailand. Everyone's not moving to Thailand. What's in Thailand, Eric? We live in the greatest country. We live in an amazing country. All right. On that note, I love you guys. You guys have a great day. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. Always see things as connected. Agree with you. I'm just saying that we all have something in common. We all live here, and we all want a better life, a good life for our family. Iran wants their country back. There's advocates from Iran that are now living in the United States that are speaking out, and they're thanking the Trump administration for what they're doing in Iran and breaking up the regime, fighting for women's rights, for human rights. They're speaking out because they needed a lot of hope there. So yes, they want their country back. The United States didn't take their country, but they also want to be able to be themselves, have a peaceful protest, not having to lose their life because of what they believe. They don't want to wear the hijab, some of them, and some of them do, but it's their choice. And a lot of the women are speaking out and they're losing their lives for it. So they're not, a lot of them are thanking Donald Trump and the US for intervening in what they have going on over there. And that came from people from Iran. Comb my hair. I love when the left come into the chat and they throw temper tantrums and want to give personal insults. I could care less what my hair looks like right now. I could care less what I look like right now. What I do care about is this country and what's going on in the world. And that's why I share the news. Now, for some of you that's upset at what's going on in the world, you're in the wrong chat because I'm just playing the news. Liberals. I trust our president. And anytime you guys throw insults in there, you don't have the words to articulate your points. That's not my problem. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem. All right, you guys, I'm gonna lay it down. No, I don't want to pull my hair. I love my big fluffy hair. I think it's trying to curl back up on me. because I have curly hair. But you're not my man. You have no reason to tell me to comb my hair. I don't need to comb my hair. Listen, you guys, I'll be back later. I need to study a little bit more, and I want to watch this interview with the Epstein survivor. Listen, I'm praying for you guys. Akula, how are you, shipmate? How are you? I'll talk to you guys later, okay? We have no choice. We have to trust our president. I think you're great. I love you guys. Talk soon. Bye-bye. Oh, thank you, Claude and Dr. Manhattan, for holding down my chat. I love you guys. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you for the super chats. Kaiser, I appreciate you. Thank you guys. Grab your membership, support the channel, or simply hit the like or subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys very soon. Good night / morning.